Hello, students. I wanted to provide an overview of the content that was supposed to be shared this week, but in addition, I want to give you some very specific details about the assignment that's due. So, if you go into our Blackboard shell, this PowerPoint exists. However, I want to start actually with the last slide that explains why we're doing this and then go backwards. So, as a result of me getting the screencast out to you late, I have extended the deadline for the assignment. Typically, our assignments are due on Sundays at 11:59 p.m. and this one is going to be due Thursday, April 11th by 11:59 p.m. So it may put some of you at ease that there is an extension for the assignment. So basically, what you're going to do is you're going to design a service learning lesson plan. There is a link I'll show you in Blackboard where there is a lesson bank. You can choose your age range and your topics. You're going to write a proposal to support your service learning plan, and then you're going to create some criteria, write professionally as always, and provide supporting evidence. So that's the overall assignment. I want to back out of this really quick and if you go into our Blackboard shell and you go into our assignments, there is a lot of information about this. There's a bank, which is the lesson plan bank, that you can go in and look at and say, okay, this is what I want to focus on. I want to do, second grade math. I want to do third grade writing narratives. You get to choose what's important to you. And then there is a part one, there's an example, there's a rubric, and then there's a checklist to make sure that once you've got the assignment done that you have all the components needed for this assignment. This is one of the last 3 assignments we'll have in this class, so it's pretty important and it's exciting that you're able to think about what interests you as it relates to teaching. So we go back to the PowerPoint. Some of this we've talked about a lot, so I think most of us know this, so I'm going to fast forward through some of this, but service learning is a methodology. It's a teaching pedagogy, so it's not an add-on. It should be something that we all think about in terms of teaching that we incorporate in the classroom, because it's connecting both service, which is an unmet need in the community, with actual academic curriculum, and we've covered social justice issues in this course. So there are some terms. We'll go through each one. Volunteering is a worthwhile and important activity, unpaid activity. You may go and volunteer to help, build a playground for a school, which is very different than potentially doing an internship. Community service is volunteering to fill an unmet need in the community. Many of you are in school sites and you're doing that. Extracurricular are those unpaid activities performed by students outside the normal school curriculum. That could be clubs, organizations, sports, many of those things that fall, drama club, that fall outside of the normal curriculum. There's community restitution, which is a court-ordered service activity where an individual is required to do service because of a court-ordered practice. And then internships usually focus on a very specific job skill and training. Sometimes those are paid. If you get lucky, sometimes they're paid and sometimes they're not. So if you get lucky, you get a paid internship, and it usually focuses on a very specific skill. I put here this slide you can look at. It's ASU's service learning definition. And so I'll let you read that, but I want to just highlight this part here. It's a deliberate connection between the academic curriculum and the service to the community. So if you think about our class so far, you get points for being in class and participating in our discussions, and you have assignments, but it's also in connection to the service you're doing in the community, so that hopefully those two things balance out. So there is an academic component. That's you coming to class every week. There's a service project, which you're actually doing hours in, and then there's the reflection. And you do that through either your critical reflections or our in-class discussions. I'm going to skip through some of this just because I think many of you know this by now. I think this is kind of important. You should always use a hyphen with service learning because service has a specific meaning and learning has another meaning, but when you put a hyphen, it has a different meaning. So service learning is a deliberate connection between the academic curriculum and the service to the community. So you are much more than a volunteer and a student. You're blending those things together to make your shared experience a service learning opportunity. And this highlights the benefits of service learning. Many of you have probably already benefited from understanding the benefit, so I won't go into much detail on that one. There's a lot of research on service learning, so if you want to go through this and look at some more articles that specifically talk about service learning, you can. There's a study highlighted where in North Carolina, a superintendent really used service learning to address needs in regards to graduation rates, and they have some pretty amazing results. So you are more than welcome to look at that as well. And then we have some standards here in Arizona related to career readiness and language arts that we look at. It's research and evidence-based. It's aligned with our college and work expectations. It's rigorous, and it's internationally benchmarked. So service learning is not a vehicle. It's not an extra add-on. It's actually a methodology or pedagogy, if you will. So as you think about your time in the classroom, you want to think about incorporating that in. There are some limitations. You're welcome to read through this. Sometimes teachers or instructors don't necessarily link the service that's being done with a curriculum, and so that's why there is a service learning component to our Mary Lou Fulton Teachers College, to where we say, hey, we understand you're doing service, yet you still are academically involved, and let's explore these social justice issues. And the academic component, it can be any lesson that you're already teaching to your students. This relates to the assignment that's coming up. We definitely are not going to get together in 9 seconds to create a list of topics, so I'll go through that. So many of you are documenting your direct service, which is you're working directly with the service population, and some of you are doing indirect, where you're planning and prepping and collecting paperwork. And so in an effort to be successful in the class, you're having to dictate like what's direct and indirect. There's research base. Again, we use our research to find answers to social problems, and there's advocacy, where we can go out and advocate and bring awareness to a specific cause. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward through some of these. There's some examples here. 6th grade science class, they delineated the academic component, and they had a research and poster session. And so we will kind of look at that as well. There's another one, a kindergarten example. So if you think about the assignment that's due this week, go back to the Blackboard. Again, all of this is listed here. So I think the part that you probably want to focus on is the bank, which gives you the opportunity to look through different lesson plans. But you also want to revert back to the actual rubric of the assignment and the checklist. So this is a bigger assignment. It causes you to look a little bit deeper into what is required. So again, you're going to demonstrate your understanding of connecting service learning as a methodology, and you're going to do so by creating a lesson plan. And so this document will actually lead you through how to do that, given the resources that are within the Blackboard shell. And again, I would definitely look at each of the documents to see the checklist is actually to say, hey, did I cover all of these specific things that are located in the rubric? So with that being said, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be available via email, and I look forward to seeing what you all come up with. And those presentations, or that assignment again, will be due on April 11th, which is a Thursday. Please note that your timesheets are still due on the 7th, tomorrow, and I'm only extending the deadline because I was a little late getting the screencast out to you all. So if you have any questions at all, please, please, please let me know.